I'm going to call the meeting to order. Can we get the roll call, please?
Mr. Carano.
Here.
Mr. Kerrigan.
Here.
Ms. Cooney. Mr. Curtis. Mr. Dortch.
Here.
Mr. Finland.
Here.
Mr. Flynn.
Here.
Mr. Hall. Mr. Hawkins. Mr. Humke.
Here.
Mr. Sullivan.
Here.
Ms. Weber. Ms. Zadra.
Thank you. Ms. Cooney, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Got a motion? Do we have a second? Motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Public comment. I don't have any general public comment cards. I do have a couple of public comment cards on item O, but I don't have any general public comment cards. Anyone from the public want to speak under public comment? Seeing none. Review and approval of the minutes. Got a motion? Do we have a second? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Baum, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's delightful to be sitting here and not being grilled for 3.5 hours. I've completed what I think is a rather productive first month here, and I want to give you just a couple of the highlights from my perspective of what I've been working on with the team here at the Rscva. First of all, I won't go through all the different meetings I've had around town, but many luncheons and meetings and tours to better know the product here in Reno Tahoe. And as I've said from the very beginning, and will continue to say, I'm sure, I am most impressed with the professionalism and quality of what I see. It's very encouraging to know the kind of people that are on the team that will help us get out of where we are now into a much better place in terms of profitability and success in the future. So we definitely have a great and powerful group of minds to work together here in Reno Tahoe. Not wanting any moss to grow under my feet, in the second week here, we conducted a creative review to decide who will be partnering with us as we go forward with the new advertising campaigns and marketing programs that will help put this destination on the map. And as a result of that, we chose Stan Byers, a local company called Stan Can. We were very impressed with his creativity, with the approach he takes to marketing. And as I believe I detailed during the interview process here, I'm a little different than most CEOs in that I am very hands-on in the creative side of this. I figure my 36 years of experience in this industry, combined with a strong creative talent on the art direction side, is going to create the very best work that's going to set us apart. So I was finding someone that I felt could work closely with myself and our marketing team as a real partner, and I think we found that in Stan Byers. So we've already had our initial meetings with him. I'm heading out on the road next week to talk to the Safari Club International folks with John Linen down in Vegas, but when I get back we'll have a meeting to start executing some of the creative that'll be out in the marketplace as of March 1st. We're talking about a very quick turnaround on a campaign that was already in place with a media buy, but we had put it on hold, moved it back 1 month to allow us to execute the creative that we think will make a very big difference in the marketplace. So this is a consumer campaign. It'll be heavily in Northern California. It's radio and billboards, and I added a print component to it as well because I felt that was necessary to complete the message. And we're not ready to talk about the creative yet, but I think you'll be very pleased with the aggressive and creative nature of the new message. Part and parcel with that, we are keeping the logo for Reno Tahoe, USA. From my considerable experience in brand development, I think this is a good, solid logo. I think it's very competitive with other destinations, and in the many ways that logos appear throughout the marketplace, I believe ours will pop much more aggressively than a lot of our competitors. One of the problems is you have somebody that looks pretty on letterhead and then goes online and you go to a website and you can't even read what it says. And I think ours is going to be a very distinctive logo in that way, and that is something that I think there's no benefit to making changes there and all the benefit in the world to carrying that forward. That being said, far from expected as a positioning is dead, effective 2 weeks ago. We're not using it anymore. It's not in any of our new materials, and we are excising it from all areas that we can in the short term, but certainly will not move forward. Not much comment required on that. I think we can do a lot better, and I'm confident we will. Advertising creative also that is run in the past will no longer be run. All new creative will be executed for the meetings and conventions areas as well as the tourist area, the leisure traveler. And once again, it'll be more aggressive, more to the point, and we'll have calls for action because we want people not just to look at the ads and say, oh yeah, Reno Tahoe. We want them to get on the phones, get on their computers, and book reservations and plan trips. And as a result of that, we need to ask them for the business in a more compelling way, which is what we'll be doing from now on. As I mentioned, the first creative will be out in March, so that's a pretty quick turnaround, but fortunately, long before this group approved me as the president and CEO, I was already working on some ideas, which I further executed, and sitting down with Stan Byers. I think we have a kindred spirit here who will help us put those on paper and on the internet and in radio copy. So stay tuned for what we think will be a very exciting turning point for this destination. We'll also be doing, subsequent to the leisure campaign, a new meetings and conventions campaign. Now, we do have a co-op campaign we do with our partners here locally and in North Lake Tahoe, and that is moving forward. We have made some changes to that as a group that will be approved at an upcoming meeting, but that creative is Come See, Fly Free, and that is a very specific call to action for meeting planners that will fly them here to take a look at our facilities and capabilities for a specific piece of business. This new campaign will be funded fully by the Rscva, and this campaign is more about why you should consider Reno Tahoe for a future meeting or convention. So it's great to have the pitch, but I think we need to make a stronger case of why somebody wants to respond to that pitch. So these two campaigns will run simultaneously. One, once again, being funded by the Rscva with a very specific pitch on Reno and North Lake Tahoe, and then the other campaign also being a generic pitch, but a specific offer to meeting and convention planners. My second week on the job, John Line and myself and several of our national sales managers went down to San Diego for the Professional Convention Management Association annual meeting. PCMA is important because there are a lot of senior people in the business who don't go to a lot of conventions anymore. They've done it for years and they pick and choose. And PCMA is one that the senior people in the industry choose to go to because of the educational content, but more importantly because their peers are there. And it's a great way to start the year off seeing your counterparts and kind of sizing up the competition for the coming year. So it was perfectly timed for my arrival here. Went down, saw a lot of industry friends and associates, spread the word on some exciting new directions that we're going to be taking here in Reno Tahoe, and most importantly perhaps was able to arrange an appointment to sit down with the leadership of the American Society of Association Executives. And ASAE is the trade association for people who run associations. So it's a very important group that's heavily on the CEO side, the decision makers. And so often in this industry, we speak to the meeting planner and we bring them here on a FAM trip or a site inspection and they love it and they're all excited about it, but they've got to go back and sell it to their boss. And if the CEO is not on board about this being a viable destination for meetings and conventions, it doesn't matter how much the meeting planner loves us. So you really need to address both audiences consistently and effectively to get the desired results. So we sat down with the folks from ASE and told them we were interested in reviewing the possibility of doing a partnership with them at the highest level, a strategic partnership. This is something I have firsthand experience with from my former place of employment and saw many, many benefits from it, fantastic ROI. They came back to us with a proposal. Mr. Leinen and I subsequently had 2 conference calls with them, further negotiated. I was able to get a $20,000 reduction per year in the discussions. And John Leinen will give you some specifics in a few moments, but we really believe that if we are serious about making this destination a player in the meeting and convention field, we have to make some moves that are not so much dramatic, but strategic. And one of those moves is to have people realize that we're even out there. There are a lot of folks in this part of the country who know about Reno Tahoe, but it's a big world in the association and corporate meetings field. And the further away you get from here, the less top of mind this destination is. People have heard of it, but they're not thinking about it on their to-do list. And we've got to make our logo and our presence and our profile something that they can't escape. We want them, every time they open a magazine, to see something positive about Reno Tahoe. We want every time they go to the trade show for them to walk by people in bright orange shirts that say Reno Tahoe across the back. We want every time they go to an event to have somebody up at the podium saying, sponsored by Reno Tahoe, here's their VP of sales for a few comments. We want people to have Reno Tahoe top of mind whether they want it to be or not. And then we've got an opportunity to make a compelling case for them considering us. And then our salespeople on the ground will have some support when they knock on the door and say, we'd like to talk to you about an opportunity in Reno Tahoe. So, as I say, John Linen will go into this in more detail, but we believe this is the kind of major change we need to get us going on the path we all want to be on. And it's not inexpensive, but if you look at the net cost to us, it's far less than we spend on other things without really giving it much thought. And I'm willing to say, as your new CEO, that I guarantee we will get a positive REO from this, and that people will be saying, thank heavens we did that strategic partnership with ASAE. Another thing that is just terrific that I can take absolutely no credit for is the fact that the Helms-Briscoe Annual Business Conference is in town even as we sit here. This group arrived, had the opening general session last night. John Liner and I myself were up on the stage welcoming them here to Reno Tahoe. This is almost 600 meeting planners from all over the world, from a third-party meeting planning company that started 20 years ago and last year booked $800 million worth of meetings. That's a lot of business, almost $1 billion worth of meetings booked by this group of individuals. And we've got 600 of them here from 30 countries this week. And the hotel properties have done incredible jobs for us. We've had fantastic dinners and lunches and receptions, and everybody's really pulling out their A game, and these people are impressed. Some of them were here in 1998, but most of them weren't with the company back then. And a lot of them have never been here. And to really have people of this caliber that represent this much business here for several days, experiencing what we have to offer, is an incredible step in the right direction. You talk about layering things like the Helms-Briscoe Annual Business Conference on top of a higher profile with the American Society of Association Executives, on top of 2 new meetings advertising campaigns, on top of the new sales team that John has assembled over the last 6 months, and now we're getting somewhere. And I think you're going to start seeing results from this higher profile and more aggressive approach, not just long-term, but short-term. So we're very excited about that. So those are some of the highlights of my first 27 days in office, Mr. Chairman, and there's a lot more to come, but you know, there's no reason to waste time. Let's get going on these things, and I think we'll see some terrific results in 2012.
Great. Any questions? Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Chris. So moving on, Reno Tahoe Airport Authority. Brian.
Actually, I'm going to interrupt. I have a little quick presentation on the UNR photography exhibition that was to tail the President's report, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Perfect. A few months ago, several months ago, the board tasked me with trying to improve the ambiance and look of the boardroom. And I took that project seriously and a little bit further than requested. In working with UNR Photography Department, we have a great working relationship with the Art College and Photography Department at the university that we've been working with them for several years. And we use a lot of the photographs that the students take each semester in our Flickr pages, on our Facebook post, on our printed material. So I went to the university and discussed this project and wanted to expand and take it into all of our the public areas of our office, the hallways and the marketing office, and of course our boardroom. And we've been chipping away at it and working at it for several months. The last piece, of course, is our fabulous panorama here that was hung just after the beginning of January. And I would like to recognize 2 of the people from the university that did make it happen. First, Scott Hinton. He's our the research associate and the program coordinator with the Rscva. He worked tirelessly with me in selecting the photographs, printing them, hanging them, framing them, and getting the students to be involved in assisting along the way. Scott, if you'll stand up, please. And also I'd like to introduce the chair of the department, Peter Goen, who's also foundation professor of photography. And his photographs have been exhibited in more than 50 museums nationally and internationally. And he generously donated the long horizontal photograph right back there above the couch of Fanet Island at Emerald Bay. And we're very lucky that he was so generous and that we are a recipient of that great photograph. After the board meeting, I'd like to invite you all just to wander in the halls and go down and into the marketing office to see these great photographs from the students and some of the staff. And Peter was going to get up and give us just a couple comments about the panorama photograph. And I'm just going to pass these binders around, which is a collection of what we have. So when the public comes and they have any interest or questions, we can let them know about our program. Thank you.
Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for letting me be here today. My name's Peter Goen. I'm chair of the Department of Art, and I would like to say on behalf of the Department of Art and the university, we'd like to welcome Mr. Baum here. We're excited to work with you today and in the future. We think good things are going to happen. This partnership has resulted in an archive that the Rscva has of more than 1,000 photographs, and these are professionally managed, and they are quite competitive nationally in terms of photographic products. And we have the archive, and we also send students around to events that are sponsored by the Rscva, and we do this annually, and we have a number of dedicated students so that we can contribute these photographs to improve the visual library that you have as tools in your marketing campaigns. Now, I don't want to take much of your time, but I would like to say that one of the greatest examples of this you get to enjoy every day, which is this panoramic photograph of the Reno Livestock Event Center. This is a student who donated this work, and it was more than 150 hours of work, very professionally driven. These photographs represent the work of the students of UNR, and they're excited to have this partnership, and we think it's a great opportunity for the university and the Rscva to partner together. It's a great educational opportunity, and on behalf of the students, thank you so much for letting us participate in your mission. Together, we think it's a better future. Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now we'll go to the airport authority. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for having us here today to talk about our Gateway project. On behalf of the Airport Authority, I would like to welcome Mr. Baum to our community. Look forward to working with you to enhance visitation and travel throughout our region. And he has hit the ground running. We've already had an RMC meeting with Mr. Baum, and we're kicking out the ideas already, so it's exciting for us as well at the airport. Also, following up on the discussion about Helms-Briscoe, I just wanted to take a moment and say, yes, they've been coming to the airport. We're very happy to see them. And we just started the second phase of the Gateway project. So we ramped up our customer service yesterday to welcome the Helms-Briscoe folks. We had banners in the airport in addition to what the Rscva buy was. We had the Rscva welcome table. But in addition to that, in bag claim, whenever we don't have information on a flight that's arriving, we have an electronic sign that pops up welcoming Helms-Briscoe. Upon departure, if you know the new ticket lobby, all the electronic signs that are behind the counters will be sending a thank you for coming to Reno Tahoe message to Helms-Briscoe as they depart as well. And since we did ramp up the customer service yesterday, we have a tradition in our organization that managers on heavy travel days will go down and work in the lobby to welcome and help passengers through, and especially during a construction project. So myself and another airport vice president were there welcoming the Helms-Briscoe attendees, talking about the community, and they very much appreciated the fact that they were being welcomed as they came through and guided through the construction process. So whenever we can work with your organization on a convention welcome, we take it to heart and appreciate the opportunity. So now let me tell you about the Gateway project, which certainly is very important to the Rscva because it will literally touch everybody who comes and goes from our community now during the construction and, of course, when it's completed. It creates a new front door to our community. That's why we call it the Gateway. And we have a mantra at the airport that we believe we make the all-important first and last impression on people coming and going from the community, and this project will certainly help us do that by providing a sense of place. When you arrive, when you depart, we want that airport to really let you know where you're arriving and where you're departing and to make you want to come back. And that's what the project's really all about. We'll take that Tahoe theme that you saw us implement in the ABC project when we redid the ticket lobby with the natural colored tile and the woodwork on the beams and the mountain motifs. We're extending that literally with this project throughout the entire first floor of the terminal and even up in a part of the second floor. And we'll be creating what we call a centralized security checkpoint. I know that sounds intimidating, anything what the TSA usually does, but this is actually taking our 2 checkpoints and bringing them down to 1 checkpoint on the first floor of the airport, and that's the next phase of our project. But very excitedly, it's bringing us new restaurants, new stores, and a chance to make that all-important first and last impression. Very important for our community right now. The project is bringing 275 jobs to our community when we need them most. Q&D is the contractor on this project. They're doing great work already for us, and we're very happy to bring these jobs to the community right now. It is a $27 million project, and we are not funded by local tax dollars. So we're using our revenues that we generate in the airport through our stores, through our restaurants, through our parking, through our leases, and of course PFCs. That's that fee you pay on a ticket when you fly through an airport. It's about $4.50 on each ticket. We're using that to pay for this. And we have $7 million in private investment from the stores and the restaurants that are in the facility that are also going to help fund this because they're excited to be really improving their facilities in our airport. So they're partners with us in this. And thank goodness, federal funds. The TSA doesn't always step up when they do a project in an airport, but they're also contributing to this project as well. This kind of gives you a glimpse, the artist rendering of what this looks like, but the great news is as of yesterday, you can get a look at phase 1 of the project and the river style that runs through it, the terrazzo and tile. You see the stonework going up the columns there in bag claim, the woodwork on the ceiling. That gives that Tahoe motif that we're talking about. And again, we have that first phase already underway for us. This kind of gives you a glimpse of the construction that's been happening. We took down the construction walls yesterday. If you go through the airport anytime soon, you'll see we've moved on to the second phase, so Bag Belt 1 is already back in process for us. What's important for this project, though, it will take all of baggage claim in this first part that will run literally through now until probably May, and just renovate all of it, improve it, give it a whole new look and feel for all of our customers. This kind of gives you a glimpse of our bag claim area. This shows you where phase 1 was, and I'll have to try to use one side here, I apologize. This was phase 1. Our ski statue will be over on the outside here. This is the north end of bag claim where you ground transportation. Our rental car outlets and ground transportation are along this side. These are our bag belts that you see. So essentially the project is moving through bag claim, a bag belt at a time, to improve the entire area for us. This is phase 2 that just started yesterday, so we have Bag Belt 1 reopened. If you come through, walk in the front door and look to the left of the ski statue, you'll see the river that we have with fish that have been implanted in there, metal fish, beautiful silver blue water effect, and the stonework is really, really nice. It gives you a glimpse of what's to come. But this will move down through bag claim through May as we do our construction process, and we have a lot planned to help communicate that. What you'll see is that tile river. That's a glimpse of a picture we took yesterday. Kind of gives you an idea of how the floor is. We pulled up all that carpeting and replaced it with that style, the stonework on the columns that you see, and a lot of signage to guide people through as well as our customer service. This is the ski statue area here, and the PGA shop will be over across the way here. That corner, which used to be the Ponderosa Pine Shop, is going to be a restaurant that will open in April. And that's important for us because we'll have that restaurant open and Pete's Coffee, because as we build that centralized security checkpoint that'll be on the first floor, that's going to be put right in place of where our food court is. So the food court will have to close, so we have to have restaurants available for our passengers and even for the airport employees as well. The centralized security checkpoint will take the place of the food court, and a new food court will be built on the second floor past security. We'll actually create a system where the north escalators that you see here will literally become our down escalator with arriving passengers, and this is where the food court is today. That will be replaced with the security system, and it will bring people up the B escalators, which take you to the southwest side of the concourses. That will then become the only up area for passengers who are arriving at the airport after they've gone through security. That will take them up to a concourse. Since there won't be security up there, it'll be a free-flowing concourse food court atrium-style area, so whether you're taking a flight on the B side or the C side, you have a free flow. So if you'll be traveling with someone, say, who's flying out at American and you're on Southwest, you could sit down, have a meal, spend some time together, or even walk each other to the gate, kind of travel the way it used to be before the TSA. So it's a nice, exciting improvement here in the community. Very exciting for us is this is our ramp area. And this is our connecting concourse here. This project will take up the second floor, raise the ceiling to 18 feet, and push it out 40 feet onto the ramp, creating that atrium-style effect for the food court area and the shopping area. New food, new stores, and more dwell time. You're already past security. So you can take your time, be comfortable, shop, have a good lunch or dinner, and enjoy your travel experience much more than you can today, because today people come in our airport and they want to get through security, but 80% of our shops and stores are pre-security. This reverses that for us and makes it a more comfortable travel experience. The completion date for the overall project is April 2013. We'll have the best security system on the West Coast. What the TSA wants to implement in Reno will be the latest state-of-the-art security. They'll use it as a test bed for security. And that's exciting for us because we want to get past the technology that is there today, which has caused some of the ruckus, and have the new state-of-the-art technology that's less invasive for people. This gives you a glimpse of the restaurant that will be on the second floor. This would be the bank of windows back here that looks out over the mountains to the east and the tarmac and the aircraft that come and go from the gates. You can see the lodge-style theme there with the wood and the stone, and that's a really nice statement to make in our community as people come and go. Across the hallway from there will be the Reno Marketplace with several new stores. Brighton, which used to be located just inside the Ponderosa Pine Shop, is a nice jewelry store if you're not familiar with the brand. Unfortunately, my wife is very familiar with the brand. I spend a lot of money in that store. It's going to get its own boutique essentially up in the new shopping area, and that'll be very popular with our customers. No Boundaries is an outdoor apparel and equipment that'll really fit the theme in the airport as well. That's a new store that's coming. In Motion, high-tech electronics, great to take with you on your flight, obviously very popular these days. And a CNBC, kind of a newsstand type of shop as well, will be a new store in the facility. We'll also be remodeling the bars on both of the concourses, giving them a new look, again, taking more of the lodge and woodwork feel. And we're not going to play this close to the vest. You've probably heard or seen some of the advertisements already. The construction wizard, who is actually a local construction worker, he does not work for Q&D, but he's been the star of our show going back to the ABC project. He's branded the project very well for us. He helped kick it off for us as well. But you'll see the TV ads. He's already on the radio. We've got print going with him. He's also on our microsite. We've created a miniature website that we drive traffic to with all of our signage and ads to get information on the project, maps to guide you through it, and to tell you what's upcoming as well. We've also tapped into social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter. You're sending out information about the project and looking for feedback. We're also looking at the possibility now for coupons. We're trying to launch a program like that to help drive some more business to our stores during the construction. So we're tapping into every avenue that we can to communicate. The project will wrap up in April of 2013. We'll have a celebration when we reopen, and we'd love to have everybody from the board there from the Rscva. Again, you are our partners in the community for travel, and we appreciate the support that you give us and wanted to communicate this to you today. And be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Brian. Any questions? Great project.
Thank you.
I think it made the best airport in the country better.
Well, we
It's
appreciate
already
that.
a great airport. I think when some people come here now, they'll see that and have no qualms about coming again.
You know, to follow that statement, sir, it's when we look across the mountainside to Sacramento and see the money that they spent on their project, you know, we're trying to do things in a fiscally responsible way, but still get that sense of place to our region. And we have our board member Jerry Hall here, who's been on this project with us, and the board takes this part of our role with the fiscal responsibility and that welcome very seriously. So we can't do without a great board.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on in the agenda, we'll go to Finance Committee report. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee met on January 11th, and at that meeting, Mr. Rivers presented items D and E, which were the October and November financials. I'll address the November and year-to-date financials today. Room tax collections for November exceeded budget by $82,000 and $138,000 over the prior year for the same period. November cash occupied rooms exceeded budget by 746 rooms, and the cash average rate was $4.49 above budget.
Total year-to-date revenues are $309,000 above budget and $338,000 higher than the prior year. This is due to higher room tax collections, increased revenues at the Convention Center, Bowling Stadium, Event Center, and Wild Creek. Higher interest income was realized because of a closed account that was held for debt service. That's contributed to the higher revenues also. Year-to-date cash occupied rooms exceeded budget by 2,450 rooms, 45,270 rooms above the prior year. Year-to-date cash average rate is $76.72, which is 53 cents higher than budget and $1.33 over the prior year. Year-to-date facility revenues were $198,000 over budget due to the increases mentioned earlier. Facility revenues were down over the prior year by $188,000 due to lower revenues at the Convention Center, Bowling Stadium, and Livestock Events Center. Expenses year-to-date are below budget by $86,000 due to lower payroll expenses and convention sales and G&A expenses due to open positions. Lower promotion, advertising, travel, and capital expenditure expenses and lower insurance expenses were also contributing to that. Non-operating expenses were $1.9 million above budget due to the repayment of debt that was originally scheduled to be paid in May 2012. The other item we have is item F. During the audit of the fiscal year 2010-2011, two potential statute violations were noted in the authority's comprehensive annual financial report. The items related to inter-fund loans within the enterprise golf fund and expenditures exceeding appropriations in the general government function of the general fund. In order to correct or prevent these issues in the future, additional expenditure review has been added to the monthly financial review process and the closure of the enterprise fund as of June 30, 2012. That was the golf fund. Mr. Rivers, anything you want to add to that?
No, that's really what we're looking at doing, again, to address the two issues that were brought forward by Kafori Armstrong at our December meeting.
Okay, thank you. The rest of the items are all the related reports that support the financial statements. So, Mr. Chairman, I look for consent for items D through K.
Got a motion? Second motion. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Kevin. Mr. Crono, Marketing Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I'd actually like to take a second and say thank you to Joe Kelly for the outstanding job he's done as an interim CEO. You just heard Kevin speak to the finance for the first 5 months, and Joe's done a great job, cutting expenses in the past year and holding the bottom line. So, Joe, I'm not sure we've given you a due yet, but thank you very much. All right, now get that out of the way. Get back to work, Joe. We had a sales marketing committee meeting on the 17th of January, which we had a quorum. I'll be asking for acceptance and approval of items 7, L, M, and N. First, there's a few things that I'd like to just discuss briefly in regards to that are not on the agenda that were part of our meeting. One, and by the way, there's a new captain in the house here. He's going to be extremely aggressive in not only sales but marketing, and really looking forward to that. We had in our meeting on the 17th, we had a recap on our Bay Area marketing campaign, and that's gone well. Again, we've got 4 properties involved: the Nugget, Solace, El Dorado, and Circus, I believe. Those are the 4 properties, and with that, the July through October results came in. We spent $525,000 on outdoor and radio, which we received $1.2 million in value. Radio, each partner put in $37,000 and received $85,000 on a return on investment, or 227% return on investment. almost sounds as good as those special event return on investments in the old days. Outdoor retail, outdoor boards, each partner invested $25,000, received $61,000 in return on investment for $145,000. So again, that campaign, and as you know, every time I mention that campaign, also the Prep Mill and the Atlantis have their own campaign going on down there too. So, you know, Reno is alive and well in the northern California market, which is our feeder market. We also had a presentation on the evolution of our website, and so if you haven't been to our website recently, you'll see some changes there. We have an updated look. Bubba's gone. Did we ever say goodbye to Bubba? We never did a formal goodbye.
It was a quick
Bubba.
burial, Glenn. He's gone.
Bubba's gone, and far from expected gone too. Thank you very much. But now we have full colored images of highlighted destinations. So the website's evolved into a nice website, more interactive, faster. We have new nightlife galleries, updated social media tags. Please, go on and look at that and stay in tune with that, just in that we get more coming. Yeah, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, other than as our new creative is rolled out, we'll definitely be changing our website up again a little bit more to showcase the new creative. So it'll all be kind of consistent. Thank you.
Good. And then furthermore, I really did appreciate Mr. Baum's presentation here, because I'm looking forward to his aggressiveness in the marketing area, also getting a whole new look for Reno Tahoe, and hey, we're marching forward. So with that, those are the things that are not on the agenda that we need to, I just wanted to mention to you. Now I'm going to go into our item L, 7L, which speaks to our convention sales, and this meeting kind of throws me a little bit off, because here we are almost in February and we're recapping October and November. And so, I mean, to me, looking all the way back there is a long time ago. So with that, and Kevin did his due to bring us up to date through November, which was good. Convention sales is kind of like the same story. We're at roughly about 29% year to date through November in regards to 29% of our goal booked room nights. And that's could be about 10% off of last year. So we're 10% off of last year in convention sales room nights. Last year, and someone, Joe, maybe you could help me, we booked 190,000 room nights of USBC. So what years were those? Was that for?
That's
13,
when we
14.
picked up the ladies for 13 and 14 and the open for 14.
Okay. Yeah.
When we picked up those, we already had the open for 10, but when we picked up the 11 women, we already had the open for 13. When we picked up the ladies for 13 and the open for 14 and the ladies for 14. This is when we picked up the 192 bowlers.
Good.
192,000.
190,000 bowlers. So when you look at your year-to-date convention sales numbers, you'll see there's USBC of 190,000 room nights there, which basically exploded last year's numbers tremendously. We're missing that. We didn't have that booking this year, even though we're actually working on some more room nights with the bowlers here as we speak. But right now, if you take the bowlers out, facilities actually is up over year to date, 46,000 this year compared to last year. It's up 115%. In all, we're 55% of our goal through November. As we're 55% of our goal through November, we're tracking about 10 percentage points down from last year. Last year, I think we had 81,000 room nights combined booked. This year, we're at 74. So aren't really big numbers. You realize you've heard me say this before, we just got John Lynon online not too long ago, and he's got his team pretty much fully staffed now, and Chris is on board. So now I feel like we've got our team, and now it's just shaking the trees out and making sure we head the right direction. I'm comfortable. I'm feeling better about it. And so with that, I'd like to pass over to John and have him kind of get past November and past yesteryear and bring us up to speed for where we're at right now.
Thank you, Mr. Carano, and yes, November was light years away. December was a much better production month. With December's results, we'll actually be up 10% over last year. We finished December about 33% of our goal. I am really very excited about the activity that we're seeing. The lead activity this month has been just phenomenal. Very, very strong. We're starting to see all the fruition of the long-term efforts that we've been doing through the year starting to come together. Some of the initiatives, MDI, Meeting Database Institute, we've talked about that. We've signed them on to help generate leads. They started that project really kind of mid-October, and so far we've realized now 7 leads. We've got about close to 4,000 room nights in the pipeline. We've actually had 1 go definite. We've got 1 site visit going on this week, another site visit with them coming on next week. So we're starting to see some great efforts from that and return on that investment. The activities that are going on, Mr. Baum mentioned about when we were down at PCMA, we had some great one-on-one appointments with some top-notch customers, some citywide opportunities I think that are going to really pan out for us. Next week we go see Safari to talk about how we can expand that future contract with us. While we're having Helms-Briscoe now, as Mr. Baum mentioned, $800 million worth of potential revenue. To show you what we're opportunities are, we're booking about $1 million a year with them. So there's a lot of growth opportunity right there. So and the feedback that we're getting has just been phenomenal on not only just our product and the ambiance of the city, but our people. They are really commenting left and right. Our hoteliers, the cabbies. They said, these guys got the friendliest cab drivers in the world, and they know me. They know about Helms-Briscoe. It says, where can you go in a city where the cabbies really even know what activity is going on in the city? And they're really impressed with the airport welcome and all that kind of stuff. So we made some really huge impressions there. I'm real excited about where we're going. Our pipeline right now, through December, is up 30,000 room nights and 13 leads. We've upped it to about 459,000, so that continues to grow. I'm real encouraged about where we're going. The activities, we're at Holiday Showcase, Smart Marts, Sports Congress, IAEE, KLSAE. We've got our sales mission. Week of February 11th, we have 4 events that we're doing in DC. 3 of them are our own signature events. We've sold out one of them, Culinaire, where we have probably around 50 high-level meeting planners in the DC area attending at the Culinaire. It's kind of an Iron Chef type competition. We have a bowling outing where we've got 50 planners already signed up for that and growing. We've got a luncheon where we have right now 10. We got opportunities to grow that. We're a sponsorship of AMPS, which is the professional meeting planning organization there, where we'll be delivering our message to over 100 meeting planners at that conference. And then we have a week-long sales activity with our hotel partners, and Mr. Baum and I are going to that as well. So good stuff happening right now in terms of that activity, and the production will soon follow.
Good. Okay. So that kind of tells you, we've got a lot of work to do, but it looks like we're heading in the right direction. It feels like we're heading in the right direction. I think we've all heard in the past that Las Vegas is turning away more rooms than they're booking right now. They're so busy, and so I think perhaps we've been hurt a little bit with the turnover of our team. Not only this last regime that turned over, but we've been kind of a problem for a few years now, and so I really think as long as I've been on this board now, I feel like we've got a good positive direction, a good team, and it feels good around here. So with that, is there any questions in regard to 7L convention sales? If not, I'll move on to 7M tourism. And at the meeting, we had a brief discussion on tourism, and again, tourism numbers, as they have been reported in the past, we found out they were not accurate, and so Mr. Linen he's got a program with all the top hotels to go out and get a reporting mechanism via the internet to create a baseline, and he's going to actually get the hotels to actually go back and enter in 2 years of data in the tourism side of the business, whether it's golf, our wholesalers, skiing, different categories, travel agents. He's going to get all the hoteliers to actually enter this in for the past 2 years to create a database, so he can actually turn around and create realistic and reasonable goals going forward. And he's doing that. In your hope to get that started.
We should have the beta of the software, this website set up this coming February, tested out, and out for rollout in March.
Good. So again, that's a positive. It's actually in all the hotels participating are actually get a chance to see how they're doing against the market also, which then the more information we all have as hoteliers, the better opportunity we have to get better. So with that, the tourism, back to the tourism numbers that you see in here, albeit they're off from last year, it's because some hotels are reporting, some are not, the wholesalers quit reporting, blah, blah, blah. The way I look at the tourism numbers as you see it, they should be numbers that are actually reported as tourism came in. Having said a few minutes ago, our room nights are roughly flat. Our cash room nights through the month of November are roughly flat. Our comp rooms, which are casino room nights, are down, but our cash rooms are roughly flat, which should suggest that if convention room nights are flat or down a little bit, tourism's holding its own. Okay, tourism's probably not growing a whole bunch, but somehow holding its own. Okay, but at any rate, we will have better tourism numbers going forward when John gets this whole database built up. So with that, that's the tourism report, not albeit exciting or anything, it's just what it is. With that, let's see, that's 7M. 7N is marketing, and we talked a little bit about marketing. I loved hearing where we're going with marketing in the future. The website continues to produce good numbers here. Property referrals was 95% of our goal in November. Website was 85%. Unique visitors 85%. The RFPs for convention and meetings is 90% of our goal, and then Facebook interaction was 319%. Jennifer, you have anything to add in regards to, we did talk about the campaign in California, Northern California. We talked about that already.
The only thing to add, Mr. Carano, is that our visit RenoTahoe.com website, when we looked at running the final campaign of last year, which was July through October, our website visits from the Bay Area geographic area was up 34%, which speaks to people seeing the ads, seeing the billboards, and responding. So it's a very positive reinforcement. Thank you.
Good. And furthermore, we hired Chris Baum, background sales and marketing, and so I'm looking forward to Chris's participation and actually leadership there and providing great leadership and growth there. So any questions in regards to marketing reports? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Chairman, I would love to get a motion for acceptance and approval of items 7L, M, and N.
Motion to second? Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to 8O, special events funding. Jennifer.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Nina Maestas, our special event sales manager who ran the special events funding program, to give us a summary of what we've elected for allocation of the dollars. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of the report that appears in your packets of the partnership funding program for this year. It seems to be the common theme. This seems like it's happened quite a long time ago. The process actually was during October, with the funding panel applicants being due on November 1st. 21 applicants ended up submitting online applications. In addition to the online applications, events had to supply supporting documents that validated the information they put online. So it was a two-step process. 21 events, as I mentioned, submitted their online applications. Ultimately, 15 ended up providing both components, both the online and supplemental documents. The request totaled $1.34 million, and we had $197,500 available in the program. The applicants were evaluated by an independent and anonymous panel on November 22nd, and they consisted of stakeholders and event professionals from the region. The Rscva staff served as facilitators to the evaluation process, but the award recommendations were panel-driven. Staff recommended how the panel might consider allocating the funds through the 3 special event categories of emerging, existing, and legacy. And then we also recommended what they might consider for the contingency category for new events that might come up throughout the year after the funding process. The panel ultimately, though, was able to make their own decision and reallocate if they wanted to. So some of the comments from the results of this year's panel, they were unanimous in their recommendation that their priority for this year should be supporting the national championship air races to the maximum amount possible. The panel elected not to allocate any money to the contingency category, and as I mentioned before, they did shift the amounts recommended to other categories, which they had the flexibility to do so. The panel believed that the Rscva offers very valuable assistance to events in the form of in-kind marketing, and in many cases could be the event's only out-of-market exposure to attract potential visitors. So if an event did not receive any funding, or to events that may not have participated at all in the program, they can still get support from the Rscva by in-kind marketing. So in conclusion, the Marketing and Sales Committee did accept the staff report on special event partnership funding made by the independent panel, which included funding $40,000 to the Reno Tahoe Open and $75,000 for the National Championship air races. And if anyone wants to see the grid on the amounts that were requested as opposed to awarded, I have a slide.
Great, thanks, Nina. Anybody have any questions? I do have a couple. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I just have a question on the line here that said the panel found that single property benefit, for the benefits of single property, they're not going to fund it. So I'm guessing that's why the Nugget didn't get it for the rib cook-off. Is that right?
That was only partial reason, and it wasn't specifically targeted to the Nugget.
Well, when you look at this, it's the only property that's not given any money. And the reason I'm bringing this up because if you take a look at the legacy events, the rib cook-off brings 500,000 people in a week.
The panel also had to consider, because of limited funds and because of their conviction in supporting the air races, that whether the receipt of sponsorship monies was going to be critical to the event's success. So does the event have a financial need? And would the amount of money that could be awarded significantly impact the event? So that was taken into consideration as well.
And Mike and I was on this anonymous panel. There was a lot of discussion about that, and we did, everyone wanted to give some consideration. There was a strong emphasis on the fact that we really felt this year we needed to do everything we could for the air races, considering what had happened. And then there was also some discussion about the Beach Sport Festival in Sparks, that Sparks was really asking for money for that to help get that thing going. And so we really wanted to make sure that we were helping Sparks out with that $10,000 that we gave to them, because we knew that was a new event that you guys wanted to create over there. to try and get that going. So we wanted to make sure we were helping with that event. And I mean, honestly, it came down to the little bit of money we could have given to we just didn't feel it would have made that big of a difference to the rib cook-off this year.
Well, I don't think it's it has to do with support, and as being the only member from Sparks sitting here except for Beth, who sits on the thing, I just think that it's one of the biggest events, and it just appears that the Rscva doesn't want to contribute to it because why? Because, well, we'll handle it ourselves, and this is a good reason why a couple of years ago we cut out some money from the Rscva to go strictly to Sparks' Tourism and Marketing Committee. Okay, so thank you.
Beth?
I commented pretty extensively on this when we met at the marketing committee meeting. This was the first year that the rib cook-off has ever put in for the money, and the reason that we did it was there were a couple of reasons that we did it. One, haven't done it because we've always been supported by the tourism funding through the Sparks area, which is great. We also felt that we really we do have a regional event, and we really wanted to be recognized as that. Subsequent to this, when I received the note, it was because of one property. That's why I received it originally. And I did take issue with that because we did a research survey, which unfortunately was not available. Results were not available for this panel beforehand. And I'm going to give this to you off the top of my head. I read it to the marketing committee group, but about 50. So the attendance is about 50-50 local versus out of town. And which we feel very fortunate in because when locals love an event, out-of-town people tend to love it too. And when you look at the commercial lodging segment of where people stayed, the number one, I don't have these percentages exactly right, but the number one place they stayed was the Silver Legacy. The number two place they stayed was Circus. The number three place they stayed was Grand Sierra. The number four place they stayed was the Nugget. And so on. That is just truly indicative of the size and scope and drawing power that this event has. We were also very surprised and happy to see that 20% of the people who came to this year's Rib Cook-Off had never been before. So I think it just shows, we're very, very proud of it. The City of Sparks, thank you, Mike, is very proud of it. And I feel like we do something that is not only a regional event, but is truly turning into a national event. So in the future, I know that Jennifer and the team have really stepped up to say that they'll support us much more through the in-kind. We appreciate that. And we'll discuss, future deals. That said, we are very supportive of the recommendations that were made. We're thrilled to see the new water sports event being supported and very happy to see the races get additional support that they need this year. So just wanted to thank everybody in the panel. And I'll share with you, we haven't released all of the research data yet because we're still working through it, but there's a lot of really good stuff and I'll be sure to share that with you at a later meeting.
Thanks, Beth. Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would pose a question to Ms. Cooney. It's kind of a ticklish question. Special events have been impacted negatively, very obviously this year, including the Rib Cook-Off. Do you have, while both the major special events, untoward activities are playing out in the judicial system, do you have any analysis of lasting effects that criminal activity might have
you're regarding the street vibration stuff?
I'm sorry, I confused the
That's okay.
events. I apologize.
That's all right. From a financial standpoint, just so you know, on the Rib Cook-Off, what we've seen the last few years, as you've all seen in your properties and other businesses, is that the event is very well attended, and even more so because it's a locally loved event and people are doing their staycations. But what's happening is we're getting more people, but they're spending a lot less money. So it's it's basically a flat scenario. And of course, to have more people, you have more expenses to service all those people. So I think that's it. With regards to street vibrations, we are pushing ahead to move forward on that event for this year. We are working with the Sparks law enforcement and working with Reno and the other properties to come out with a plan as to how to make that a more safe event for the future. and we're looking forward to that. It's hard to say with so many factors involved as to whether the event hurt us because, you know, it was the end of a busy season, so it's really hard to tell. And with the economy the way it is, you know, we haven't seen an uptick in business that some people are saying is happening around the country. We haven't seen that yet. But, you know, the snow, there's so many other factors involved. So to answer your question, we really don't know what the long-term effect of something like that's going to be. It is important to us, very important to us, to maintain the strength of all these events, to get the double whammy of what happened at the air races, followed up by what happened at Street Vibrations. Essentially, both events for us were cut short. People left early. You know, these are some of the biggest weekends of the year that we have. And I know you guys all know this, but special events is what is driving our business in a big way. And it's really the only thing that we've found on a consistent basis that continues to differentiate ourselves as a marketing destination from other areas. So hopefully, you know, we'll be able to recapture the strength of the previous Street Vibrations. And I think time will tell, but it'll take some time. I think it'll take some time.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, if I might comment briefly too, as a newcomer here and someone who's dealt with this kind of issue coming from Detroit, where there was always some bad news that we were concerned about. In my anecdotal collection of feedback from people all over the country as I've assumed this new role, I think the fires are the story that most people nationally retain in their memories. I don't believe there's much awareness whatsoever, even of the air crash, and I know you may find that hard to believe here locally, where it was such a terrible event. But nationally, planes crash, people get shot. These stories blend into the wallpaper. Fires that are very visual and are covered on the Today Show, people tend to remember more. So that is a natural occurrence. People don't blame Reno Tahoe when there's a brush fire or some jerk drops his ashes out in a dry field. And I don't think that there is any residual negative effect for the destination. As closely as we feel these things locally on a national level, I don't think it's going to hurt us in the long run at all.
Thank you. Paul?
Just a question here. It seems to me that the amount of financial contribution we participate in relative to special events on a regional basis is insignificant compared to the benefit that we receive and the impact that special events has on the region. And a financial contribution is one way to go ahead and support and participate in these special events, but and the in-kind marketing that was referred to is another way. And I guess my question is, are there other ways in which we can become a full and a full participant, supporter, and in special events on a regional basis? And I guess I'd turn to Chris to ask, you know, what are your thoughts on that, and Nina as well, in terms of what is our strategy moving forward to become more integrated with the special events, which, as Beth points out, is a fundamental part of her own business.
Well, it's a very good observation. I think that when you see the new leisure campaign will be rolling out in March, you'll be pleased with the fact that we celebrate the variety of activities that are available to people here year-round. And I think we all realize that gaming's changed forever, the Indian casinos, but in fact, every element of gaming nationwide. There's so much more gaming available today than ever before, and there's more coming. So gaming will always be part of what we do, but it can't be our main draw anymore. We have to really make people aware of the activities that are available here on a seasonal basis, and the events and special festivals we put on to a degree that far surpasses any other city in my recollection and experience. Very much so, we will be recognizing these events and marketing them in a more aggressive way as part of the overall approach we'll be taking, which is, you know, this is not a small Las Vegas. This is a well-rounded four-season resort with an incredible array of things to do no matter what your passion is.
And also, we do a lot of cross-marketing between events with the, I'm sorry? Oh, my microphone's off? Okay. We do a lot of cross-marketing between events, especially with the Special Events Coalition. So any opportunity there is to promote other events during a current event is done. And then again, special events is a very important message in a lot of the marketing we do.
Thank you. I do have two people who would like to speak on this item. Jana Smoley. Hi, Jana.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
For $1 million.
What'd you say? I'm Jana Smoley. I'm the Executive Director of the Reno Tahoe Open, and I stand before you today to thank you for the funding that you've given the Reno Tahoe Open, not just this year, but for the 13 years that we've been in existence. Rscva has played a critical role in having PGA Tour in our marketplace. Only 47 cities in the nation get it, and we're lucky to have it. And so I want to share some successes that we experienced in last year's tournament. We more than doubled our attendance, which was a big number. We flipped our nines. We've been playing that golf course backwards, Jack Nicklaus signature design. We've been playing it backwards for 12 years, and we flipped the nines. And what impact that has on this group is that the 18.5 hours that were on international TV, now all of a sudden we're spent looking up at the fairways of the beautiful Montreux, pointing at our snow-capped mountains. And so a very good messaging platform for us to explain to the rest of the world what we have to offer. We formed a new group called the Renegades, who are leaders in town that came out of pocket personally to stand up as leaders to promote our destination as a great place to live, work, visit, and grow a family. And so had a lot of success with that group. And we partnered with our other events in town. I was really proud that the tournament was able to take a leadership role with our other special events in town, had them showcase their event out at the Reno Tahoe Open, tap into their database, invite their followers to come see them out at Montreux. And in return, I went to the Golf Channel to pitch those special events and was very proud that on national, international TV, we had a rib eating contest with the sportscasters from Golf Channel. We showcased the Hot August Nights cars, the balloons, talked about the air races, and so I was proud that we were able to take a leadership role in promoting the wonderful events that we have as a destination. So we'll continue to move forward in our 14th year, boasting Reno's name on the PGA Tour schedule, which is about a $6 to $9 million value when you think of everywhere that PGA Tour promotes themselves and the power of that sports brand. And we'll continue to look for ways to separate ourselves. I'm proud to announce that this year we got approval from the PGA Tour Board and the players, PGA Tour Players Board, to move to a modified Stableford. And if you don't know what that means, that is a different way of scoring. So now we will be the only PGA Tour event that uses this scoring system where the highest number wins. So I like to say black is the new red in Reno. It's our opportunity to have players come out here and go for it. And I just got back from San Diego on a recruitment trip with PGA Tour players at the Farmers Insurance tournament. And they're very excited about the opportunity to come out here and play in a different what was it? Oh, stop. Okay, I'm okay.
Go ahead and finish up,
Get
Jen.
the hook. Sorry, Dwight. Very excited to come out here and play in a different way. So I continue to feel extremely passionate about the platform that having PGA Tour in our neighborhood gives us to tell the rest of the world who we are. I'm thankful for this partnership. I'm thankful for the opportunity to spell everything that Reno 911 and Miss Piggy and Saturday Night Live and everybody else has done for something that we have of greatness. And this partnership, all of us working together, is crucial in getting that out and continuing to work to the common goal. So thank you to the Rscva team, Nina, Joe, Jennifer, Chris, welcome. Thank you to the board, and I will continue to look for ways for us to grow this partnership and reach our goals.
Question?
Glenn?
Jana, is that the same format they use at the American Century at Lake Tahoe?
It's actually not.
No.
So the Stableford is
Can you get up to the mic? Sorry.
I used in Colorado's, wasn't that the Jack Nicklaus's event in Colorado that's no longer, right?
Castle Pines,
Yeah,
the
Castle
Jack
Pines.
Nicklaus signature design. At the lake, they use a Stableford format, which has been in existence for a very long time. The modified Stableford actually rewards great play. A double eagle will get you 8 points, an eagle will get you 5 points, a birdie will get you 2 points, and the modified piece of this is if you play poorly, you actually get negative points. So they can get minus 1 point for a bogey and minus 3 points for a double bogey, and that's what makes it it's modified. It was invented by the gentleman who owns Castle Pines, Jack Vickers. It was a player favorite. That tournament was on the schedule for over 20 years. Big names won that tournament, Davis Love III. And I've actually invited Mr. Vickers himself, 87 years old, he and his brother, to come out to our tournament. Just got off the phone with them last week so we could pay a tribute to them for inventing this system. And the players are really excited about that. The tour's very excited about that. And I think we'll get some really good coverage from that. Did that answer it in a long-winded way? Okay.
Thanks, Jenna.
You got a shot.
Dave Purcell.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Dave Purcell, and I'm the chairman of the Reno Air Racing Association Board of Directors. And with me is Valerie Miller-Moore, our Director of Marketing and Public Relations. We're both here to thank you for your consideration for the funding of the National Championship Air Races. As you know, we're doing anything and everything we can with our partners in Northern Nevada to host the 2012 event. Reno Tahoe Airport Authority through Jerry Hall's subcommittee will work with us on the leasing and the permitting of the event. We're working with the Federal Aviation Administration to get the waivers in place. We're very optimistic that we'll be able to host the event for 2012. This funding is very important to us and is another part of the overwhelming support that we have received from locally from a number of players, whether it be our local governments, especially our fan base that did not request refunds on $1.3 million of tickets. I think the amount that was refunded was about 30%. But being able to use that funding to go toward 2012, our sponsors have just been absolutely great in their support, and this funding is going to help us clear some of the hurdles that we have, and we have them, but we're working through that. Again, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And Mr. Baum, welcome to Northern Nevada. We look forward to working with you. We have not only a national exposure, but international that's growing. So again, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions?
And just on
Bonnie?
a note,
Jerry?
I just wanted to update you. Our ticket sales go on sale as of March 1st. We've already sent out our season reserve letters and our season box holder letters, and I would let you know that we've got calls from Germany that came in yesterday ordering their tickets that they're coming back. So we're just excited to get started. The staff is excited, and on behalf of the staff, thank you very much for supporting us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Jerry?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make what might be a very short declaration. Mr. Purcell mentioned that I'm chairing a committee at the airport that will be making a recommendation to the full board concerning the issuance of a special event license. And I see this item and that responsibility as two totally separate issues. I intend to vote on this item.
Perfect. Any other comments, questions? Bonnie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to share in support as one board member for the rib cook-off and Councilman Kerrigan's comments about this event. And I know that the Nugget is saying that they support the special events here, but I have a concern that a program or an event such as the rib cook-off is not even receiving a portion, a small portion, just to show support. And I'm sorry, but I think that it seems somewhat unfair, and the city of Sparks is being supportive of it. And this event is something that does bring in a lot, and I'm looking at, and I don't want to reinvent how we funded, but I think even a small portion, if you took 1,000 from each of the 10,000 donations and at least gave a small support to this event, I think it's important, and it would show a lot, because that's one event that didn't, requested funding and didn't get funded. And so that's my concern. I think that if we let this one go, I think it's important that we don't let it go.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there was extensive discussion about this at the subcommittee, or the task force that took this on, and it really came down to, the impact that the money will have on the events that are funded, and really the discussion was, is a small token to the Nugget really going to have a major impact on them, or is the $10,000 to the Beach Sports Festival, which they need $30,000 to make that event happen, more important to them? And I mean, everyone came around and said, because there was actually discussion of reducing the air race contribution and giving some money to the rib cook-off, and everyone felt currently that just based on this year alone, it's vital that we give all the support we can to the air races to make sure that event is crucial, just like the rib cook-off is crucial. But they're in dire times, and everyone felt that it was more important that we send the message that we are going to do everything we can to ensure that we keep that event in this community.
And Mr. Chairman, I agree and understand, but the rib cook-off still, in regard to all these other events, still has a positive impact to the entire community. And I understand what you're saying.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I know it does.
I get it. But if we don't say anything as board members, and that's why I'm saying something, I'm supporting Councilman Kerrigan, who Sparks obviously is very supportive of this, but they're also a player here at Rscva. And I think that the important part is that if you just took a little from everybody, just a little, at least it would show this event that we support them as well. And I'm not saying take it all from the air races or take it all from somebody. $500 from each of the 10,000 and maybe 2,000 from the air races. They can still get by, and it would still show support of that. So I'm just speaking up, and I think that they need to be supported. And I know that Beth will probably say, no, but I as a board member want to say that I think it needs to be supported.
Yeah. And just my final comment, and then if anyone wants to chime in, but this is exactly why we went to the process that we went through to get to where we are today, is to take the politics out of it, to get it in front of a board of community members to come through and make their recommendations, and take the pressure of politicking out of this process. So that's my last comment. Beth, you want to chime in? Or Glenn?
I agree with you. I agree with everything's been said so far. The sad thing about it is we're dealing with $197,500, and Beth has done a great job. She's gone to the El Dorado Hotel Casino and other hotels for sponsorship, and so they're getting out there with that. I mean, I don't see Hottest Nights on here. I don't see El Dorado Brew Fest. I don't see El Dorado Tie-In Festival. I don't see a lot of things on here that could also be out here, but there's only $197,000 here, and that's the real problem. That's the real problem is you wish you had more money here, because Beth said it a minute ago, special events are driving this community. We try to create critical mass with special events, conventions. That's a big special event that we need to focus in on. We found downtown that we need to do big time concerts. And that's what. So we're doing all that, and so I think the rib cook-off heck, that thing's already national. It's huge, and it's driving. It's almost outgrowing Sparks. It's huge, you know. And so, in the end of the day, I mean, originally, when you go back to think about special events, it was actually out there to get the ones that are struggling to get them going.
It really came down to need.
So at any rate, I was not on the meeting. The biggest problem in this whole thing is $197,500. That's the biggest problem.
Mike?
I'll just make one more comment, then I'll shut up. If this line is true, then it says that the panel was unanimous that funding was to support the national championship air races, then why don't we take the whole $157,000 and give it to the national championship air races, $40,000 to the Reno Tahoe Open, and cut all the money from the other ones, because you basically said that are these events going to happen whether they get this money or not? And
Some of them will not.
Some of them won't.
Some of them will
so
not.
Which
it really
one
came down to need.
Okay. Well. Okay.
I mean,
because I mean, if that's what we want to do, I'd like to make a motion that we give all of it except for $40,000 to the championship air races if we're going to support them. Let's support them all the way then.
Second. We got a motion and a second on the floor. I'm not going to support the motion. I think there are other events on here that are too critical that desperately need this funding. You know, there was some talk at the meeting of giving the air races more money than what they asked for. But I think, you know, and for one, your event in Sparks, we were told that if we didn't give some, you know, some money to that event, it would not happen.
Okay, I'm willing to make a vote that if it doesn't happen, if we have a tour mark, if they can't kick in another 10,000, then I guess it doesn't happen. But I'm willing to give it all to the air races, and that's why I made the motion.
Mr. Chairman, you know, I think your committee worked diligently hard to come up with this suggested, so I will not be supporting that motion.
Beth?
I feel like I started this. Thank you, Bonnie. That was very nice of you. I appreciate it. You know, I'm involved with a lot of events, and first of all, I think the air races is getting close to twice what they got last year, something like that. I mean, I think it's $30,000 more than they got last year, which is great. I think some of these smaller events, whether it's the balloon races or the watercraft event or there's some things, the small amount that we think we're giving them is big to them. And they've already been, I mean, even though it is the board's decision to approve this finally, and Nina has been clear about that, they're all, you know, they've all gone through this onerous process. It's very big. We have done a lot of work in the last couple of years in refining this to make it less political, and so that everyone basically gets a fair shake. And as important as I think it would be to get funding for the rib cook-off, I'm totally willing to say, you know what, there's a bit bigger needs other places this year, and I wouldn't support that, even though I commend the thought process behind it of saying, look, why don't we put it all in one place? I don't think this board can do that. I think it's important to support all of the events that you are able to support, even with the $197,000. So I won't support that motion.
Bonnie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can't support the motion either, although I would love to. I think that there is a committee that does this work. I've served on that committee before, the Special Events Committee. I don't think this is political. Honestly, I don't think it's political. So when we talk about politics, I mean, maybe I don't get it, but I don't think it's political. I think it's a matter of we have great events, and maybe somewhere along the line we need to find more money for our great events in this community. And I think the rib cook-off, it's a shame that we can't support them, but I can't support the motion on the floor. And lastly, if some of these events don't go, does that money go back into the contingency fund? And then if it does, I would suggest that another motion be made that if any monies come back into the contingency fund, that it go to the rib cook-off.
Well,
but
it would actually come back to us but that was also discussed at the Special Events Funding Committee was that if an event didn't go and we got some of that money in, then we could have some additional consideration at that
Well,
point.
and that would be good to have clarified on, for discussion as well. So I appreciate that. And I know that's not part of the motion, but I would like that. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just as an observation, as somebody who was not involved with this process but came in and got involved a couple of weeks ago, I believe that the data that was shared by Ms. Cooney after the fact that was not available about where the rooms actually go in the region and the actual economic impact, how it's spread around to different properties, would be a very compelling piece of information for the committee to have reviewed. And I think that, I realize we're all passionate about a lot of these issues, but I think really ultimately the group didn't have as much information as they probably should have had to have made that decision. And perhaps, I can't speak for them, might have decided differently if they had seen, oh my gosh, I mean, the Nuggets actually number 4 on this list. It's not getting 99% of the business. So I think that moving forward, my guess is in the future, there might be a different outcome on this decision based on more complete information. And that's just an observation from somebody who got involved at the tail end of this. So I think that down the road, not only are we going to look for some more money to fund these great special events, but hopefully we'll have all the information at the time the decisions are being made.
Absolutely. Jerry?
Yeah, well, I'd like to commend the committee that allocated the money for the special events. I mean, we all know how important special events are. The bottom line is, like Mr. Carano and Ms. Weber said, the bottom line. And I know in a dwindling budget, it's hard to allocate more money for special events, but maybe it's a question for the Finance Committee. How can we give more money for special events?
Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sometimes a motion is made to make a point. Sometimes that's why a person seconds it. Mr. Baum has correctly pointed out that there was perhaps a misconception on my version, page 115 of 127, just below the graph, and just after the passage Councilman Kerrigan cited, this sentence, if I was in court, I would move that this sentence be stricken from the record. The panel felt that single property events or events that primarily benefited a single property, etc., were not appropriate for Rscva funding. That was a mistake. That committee was laboring under incomplete information, and I appreciate that. That was eye-opening, what Ms. Cooney offered as to the properties that do benefit from the out-of-town visitors. Thank you.
Anything else? We've got a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. No. Motion fails 2 to
the rest.
2 to the rest.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion we accept the recommendation from the Special Event Committee.
Got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries with 1 dissension. Thank you. Yes.
Real quickly on that same thing, is there any possibility of making a motion about contingency funds if those should come back? Would it be appropriate for us to make the recommendation that if those contingency funds come in, to have it go to the rib cook-off?
We can make that motion. I think it should just come back to us. If there are contingency funds, then we can make that decision. I have no problem giving them, if there's funding, to give them funding.
Okay.
But I think it should come back to us, and then we can make that decision depending on how much money is there.
To the special events committee or
No,
back to the?
Back to the board.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thanks. Just back to the board. We wouldn't reconvene the group just for that.
Who would let us know, though? How would it get back on the agenda for us to make that motion?
I would assume staff would let us know if an event's not going forward, that they would, and now all of a sudden we would have this additional funding.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think it's the way we've done it in the past. Isn't that correct, right, Jennifer?
Yeah. Thank you.
Moving on, item P, review, discussion, and approval of ASAE strategic partnership. Mr. Leinen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Give me just a second.
Good luck, Mr. Kelly. He's ignoring me.
Okay, as Mr. Baum said in his opening comments, we had the opportunity to meet with some of the folks with American Society of Association Execs while we were at a conference in San Diego. I wanted to give you some background on just who ASAE is. ASAE represents 21,000 association executives and industry partners representing about 10,000 organizations. These are organizations are leading trade associations, societies, volunteer membership organizations. It's international. It represents over 50 different countries. 48% of the members are association CEOs. So the beauty of by partnering with ASAE is that we'll be totally focused or very focused on that CEO of those associations. 35% are staff professionals within the associations, and then 17% are suppliers like ourselves. So it's a very good ratio of customer to supplier side. It's a little bit about the profile of who they are. What's the opportunity for us? This partnership provides great exposure to that decision maker who is at the top level of their associations. We get that exposure through some key events. The annual meeting and exposition, which is held in August, attracts about 5,500 people. There's over 400 exhibitors. It's the premier event in terms of the association industry. The other area that we get great exposure is Springtime, which is a trade show that's held in the DC area. That attracts 500 exhibitors, about 2,000 qualified buyers. There's other events that they host, the Great Ideas Conference, which is right around the corner, and that's why we're really kind of moving with some urgency here, is because of the Great Ideas Conference that's at the end of March. And then there's a technology conference, which is at the end of December. Some of the interesting things about the Great Ideas Conference, that is right now on a rotation between the Broadmoor and the Rosen. This partnership that ASAE has, they are extremely supportive of their signature sponsors or their other partners. And their commitment is to try to bring as much exposure to those sponsors. Anecdotally, I'll give you a little insight of what that's like. I was talking to a good friend of mine who works for the Orlando CVB last night and talking about the ASAE partnership, and he was lamenting that he was pursuing the annual when he was in Orlando and lost it to Detroit. Because Detroit was a signature sponsor with ASAE, and they have been trying like all heck to get that annual there and have not been able to do that just yet because they're not a signature sponsor. So their commitment to exposure to their sponsors is tremendous. Another one that they have, there's an all-star weekend where they only have like 30 suppliers there and 180 CEOs. So from my sales staff standpoint, the great thing about looking at this partnership is it puts us in touch with those CEOs. Working to meeting planners is very important. That's how we sometimes get the door open, but it's hard to carry that through when we don't have those relationships or that branding at that CEO level, because when the decisions start rolling up, they don't know us. So we're real excited about what this could bring. The partnership does allow us premium positioning with exhibits at these events. So not only will we get larger space, but we'll get premium space and high visibility. You walk in, the signature sponsors, it basically will scream Reno Tahoe and their other partners and create us great visibility there. We get advertising and recognition in a lot of their program publications, their event promotions, website recognition. Things like when we're at ASAE, Mr. Baum will have the opportunity to speak to all of the members or the attendees that are there. We get a chance to talk about our destination. We're being recognized by key industry leaders for our contribution to the organization. So it really creates great top-of-mind awareness. There's other things that they'll get when we sign on. The president and CEO of ASAE will introduce us to the overall membership. One of the things that's also real exciting, and when we talked with them this past couple weeks, they will give us a signature event, or try to create a signature event that we will own above all of the other partnerships that they have. And one of the things that we talked to them about was a Young Leaders Conference. And just coincidentally, in that introduction, they're in the process of actually trying to identify a conference for their young leaders. And their board in March will be assessing whether or not they are going to move forward with creating that conference. And if they do, we will have first right of refusal on hosting this event. And the exciting thing about that is that positions us with the future leaders within the association industry, which will help sustain our branding over a long-term process. So, stay tuned on that area. The other things that go along with it are things that we're already kind of spending money on with ASAE. So it includes a lot of the booth space that we're already spending, our subscriptions and membership to ASAE, some of our advertising opportunities that we would do within the trade publications that they promote. So the net effect, when we're talking about this, the initial proposal came back to them at $315,000 a year is what they submitted to us. Mr. Baum had an opportunity to talk to them about that, and they have reduced that down to $295,000 a year. This is a 3-year commitment. What's important to realize that $295,000 is really what is the net effect. When we look at what we're already spending with ASAE or what we would be doing in this coming fiscal year to better position the brand, the net effect really brings it down to about $200,000 a year. As I said, the benefits that we get are, we get a $65,000 advertising credit in Association Now, which is one of the leading publications. And the interesting thing about that publication, that's 20,000 people in circulation. 55% of the people who have seen ads have visited the websites there. 30% have requested more information. And according to their studies, 14% of their memberships have purchased as a result of some of the advertising and the awareness that's being created through that publication. We have the funding to support this through our bond sales. We think this is critical, mission critical to growing our convention sales and really making us a bigger player in the space. I'll give you an example of who's currently on board with them in that. This would currently, the two destinations that probably look like us, Fort Worth is a strategic sponsor, Detroit is a strategic sponsor. Some of the other ones are Gaylord Hotels, Puerto Rico Tourism, Mexico Tourism, Canadian Tourism, USA Today are at this level. The interesting too is being at a strategic level would bump us up over cities like Atlanta, Baltimore, Dallas, Salt Lake City. So some of the cities that we compete with, this will help us get a premium position against those destinations that arguably would also probably enjoy already a better brand awareness. So that's one of the key reasons why we need to be involved with this and help grow our sales and put more business into the convention center.
Any questions? Jerry?
Two questions. One, I'd like a little feedback from the marketing committee concerning the discussion that you all had, because it just came with a recommendation for discussion, because this is a big buy. And the second question, if this is such a good idea, why hasn't the Rscva done this before? I mean, is this something that just came along? I mean, why wasn't it done before? So.
Glenn, do you want to address the marketing committee question, or?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you very much. We did discuss this at the marketing committee meeting, and Mr. Baum has had experience with ASE. I've been to ASE before. Pat's been there a few times. I'm not sure Beth's been to ASE, but ASE is the show to be at. We do have a presence there. We've had a presence there, albeit a lot smaller someplace. I think the Rscva, I think we spend someplace around $75,000 right now going to it, and I don't know that. Is that true? Or
what was that number?
Do we as a city right now spend $75,000 going to the?
No, it's not at that level. Right now, our spend with ASAE just prior to any initiatives we do moving forward is around $20,000.
Okay, I thought maybe when you put all the properties together, we might get up there, but.
Yeah, the thing, if you don't mind 1 second, in terms of the booth size, we typically have had a 10 by 10 booth, and when you've got over 400 exhibitors, you're lost in the shuffle. This partnership elevates us to a 2020 booth with premium positioning.
So back to the discussion, and I'm going to ask the committee members to jump in. My comment was, and oddly enough went back to special events, is, here we are putting $175,000 out there for special events. This right here, putting this kind of money out here to actually drive some convention business, which we all know, Mr. Humpkin and myself were just talking, the civil agency is going to take a huge beating this week because we don't have a Safari Club. And this organization is in charge of bringing big conventions to the community. This is our opportunity to do this. This is our one opportunity to get out there and jump in and make an impact. That's why, and that's why we hired Mr. Baum to come in and do this. And so I think, sure, it's risky. It's risky. I mean, we need to make sure that as we make all this big presentation promises that we can deliver, and so that's why we need to bring air service involved. And again, I'm going back to some of the things we did talk about at the meeting. We need to make sure our air service in Southwest and everybody is in tune, the Reno Tower Airport's in tune with what we're doing, as they were this week with Helms-Briscoe on property. Simply put, Helms-Briscoe, I'll just speak to numbers right now. Helms-Briscoe in Reno right now is a fam trip, basically, is costing civil AC $100,000. Okay, and so as it's costing us $100,000, that's just one week, one show. We're housing, we comped a dinner $30,000-$40,000 every night. So I mean, and I know Pat's in the same investment, and the Nuggets in the same investment, and that's just this one show here. So as this one show here in Reno, this ASE's 4 big shows, putting you. So I mean, hey, at the meeting the other day, I kind of gulped. I gulped because. Chris brought it, and as he brought it, we all talked it out, and now I'm talked out, so I'm going to open up to some of the committee members.
Yeah, and that really came down to, and that's what I told Chris at the marketing meeting. That's why we brought him here. I mean, come up with new ideas. Obviously, the things that we've been doing in the past haven't been working. We've got to try new things. He's got to live with the budget. He's got to find the money in the budget. He's got to get his arms around that, and if he thinks that this is top of the list priority, I'm going to support it. Now, I will say this. I mean, you're saying the net effect, John, is $200,000, and that's really not right. The net effect's $275,000.
If I may answer, $65,000 advertising credit, that publication is on the media plan we're putting together for the new ad campaign I noted earlier.
But this year's budget is going to have to increase by $275,000 because we've only had budgeted $20,000 for this. Correct?
You are correct in saying yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's the net effect for this year is $275,000. Now, again, that doesn't change my support.
Right.
I just like everyone to be aware that.
Right.
We put $200,000 net effect up there. It's really a $275,000 net effect.
The point of the net effect is to let people know that we're already spending money with this organization, and we're going to be spending more. There are incredible economies of scale with this, in addition to all the other benefits you can't access any other way than the strategic sponsorship.
Bonnie?
Mr. Chairman, isn't that really almost $1 million if it's a 3-year commitment?
Absolutely.
That was one of the questions that we asked at the marketing committee, and Brian was confident that with the refinancing of the bonding, that the money is not the issue. And again, we put it to Chris. Is this a decision you're most comfortable with? It's a big decision, and when we all saw the $1 million, we were all kind of same reaction. How are we going to do this? But in repeating everybody's comments, ASAE is huge in the industry. ASAE could bring one piece of business that would cover the $1 million easily for this destination. And to Glenn's point with Helms Briscoe, we're doing a fam trip after the 2 days here, and it's going to cost us $50,000. But to us, it's an investment because one Helms Briscoe booking could bring much, much more than that to the table. So we have an opportunity to get the organization that's most prominent in our business, and what we can do at those various meetings will be huge. And I do think that the return is going to be amazing for what looks like a huge investment, could be nothing at the end of the day.
Beth?
And we did obviously have a lot of conversation about this. The good news is, of course, it's funded, but I think for me, when it got down to it, we've been muddling along.
Absolutely.
Our budgets have been slashed. We've done a whole 100% turnover in our sales force, and these things that have happened in the last few years have really hurt our convention business. I mean, our overall business as well, but particularly the convention business. And I think it's time, and one of the reasons we hired Chris, of course, main reason we hired him is because he has an incredibly strong marketing and sales background, and he has experience with this working very well for Detroit. He was able to start to put Detroit back on the map. And we have to do something extremely bold with our limited funds that's gonna do that for us. And I really believe that this is a step in that direction, that it's a strong bold and a strong statement. And as I said in the marketing committee, it gives me a little heart palpitations about spending this much money. But I think, if the budget were different, I don't think we would blink at doing this. And I think it's a great way to get our name out there and to get us back on the shopping list from convention sales, because we're not on there, and we need to be. So I totally wholeheartedly support this, and I know Chris will make it happen for us.
Pat?
And
sorry.
I think this really kind of ties into what Mr. Baum said when we first started talking about, what direction are we going as a community. And it's very true that I think if you look at regionalizing, the territories and whatnot, and is Reno top of mind, regionally west coast? Well, certainly you'd hope so. But certainly as you move to the Midwest and you start hitting the East Coast, Reno's not top of mind. And I look at it and I say, what are we going to do? What vehicle are we going to use? And going back to, again, what Mr. Baum said earlier, is why. Nobody knows why. Why is Reno a great destination to bring a meeting? And so I look at this as being a big vehicle in helping us get that message out in conjunction with the Come See, Fly Free, getting people here, like the Helms Briscoes, getting them here, letting them see what we have to offer. And so I look at this ASAE as a huge opportunity to help not only get people here, but to get that message out on why Reno. So I'm fully supportive of it.
Mike and then Jerry.
Yeah, thank you. That's, Chris, that's why we hired you, is to do something like this. I don't think $295 annual budget's that big a deal. If you bring somebody here, it's like Fred said, one convention can take care of that. We need to start doing something different. That's what the room tax is collected for, is to put this destination on the map. And if this is what it takes, this is what it takes. The only question I have is about the 3-year commitment. Is there an out clause in there, or are we committed for 3 years? In other words, if something doesn't perform after the first year, can we bail?
Knowing John Graham, the president and CEO of ASAE, to be a very astute and professional gentleman, if there was something that was so extreme that it could possibly bring on legal action, I'm very comfortable there could be a negotiated solution to it. These are top-notch professionals in our field. I have personal relationships with them. I have no qualms at all about that based on my past experience.
Great. You got my support. Thanks.
Jerry?
I appreciate the feedback from the marketing committee. When I went through this, I probably should have picked up the phone right away and called somebody and said, what's going on here? But at the beginning, before the meeting started today, I asked John Lyndon a couple of questions about the number of people that this would give us access to. And when he told me 20,000 plus, and that includes international people, that that made a huge difference to me because I simply was not familiar with the association and the breadth that you have there. And I agree with everything that's been said too about Mr. Baum being here and bringing a fresh look at things. This seemed to me, looking at the kind of commitment, financial investment that we would be making here, this looks like a good investment to me to make. And it, perhaps more than that, it represents a different way of looking at how we market this community. And that is probably much more important than the amount of money that somebody's going to have to pump into the budget to make this happen. So I'm supportive of this. I don't want you to think that my question was anything but that. I just wanted to hear more. I think another time when something like this comes to us with this kind of a magnitude, it would be useful to have a staff report attached to it that said, here's what this is what this means, and this is where we're going with this. I appreciate the presentation. It rounded it out for me. But I think another time it would be useful to have that staff report when the material comes to us. Thank you.
Anyone else? Motion?
To approve the presentation as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. You're off to the races. Any items for future board meetings? Anybody have anything? Any board member comments?
I think it's important to, and I did this at the Board of County Commissioners recently, but the two tragedies that we had in our community, the fires, I just think that on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, as well as probably other community members, we want to thank the hotel properties for their support of the community and, reduced and free rooms.
Absolutely.
And in a time when so many people have problems with the gaming industry, and these properties stepping up to the plate and giving rooms back to our community members in need, it's awesome. And I think that it's really important to recognize them.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other board member comments?
Thank you very much on behalf of the hotel community for thanking and for me, I was part of the first fire, looking at that flame for 6 hours. But I know there's others in this room that are part of the second and first fire, and we're all in this whole community together. So I mean, the rooms are really not that big a deal when it comes down to it. When you have these people losing their houses, it's devastating. Actually, my brother's mother-in-law lost her house. So I mean, it's just I think how many went down this last time? 29?
29.
Yeah, and how many the first time? 30s? It's just amazing what we've been struck with here. So, at any rate, good job to all the hotels.
Yeah.
All participate. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no public comment cards. Anybody in the public want to make any comments? Seeing none, one more motion.
Move adjourned.
Motion and second. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.